Hello and welcome to channel number 6 Vidik. So here we are in conversation with scholars. Today we have Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed with us, who is Professor Emeritus of Political Science at University of Stockholm, Sweden. Simultaneously, he is Senior Fellow with Institute of South Asian Studies, National University of Singapore. His research interests are quite wide. He is interested in partition studies, he is interested in human rights, minority rights, and at larger level, he is interested in political science and history of South Asia. He has written very important book, The Punjab, Bloodied, Partitioned, and Cleansed. So in the previous episode, we talked to him about the methodology that he adopted to write this book. Today, we will continue that conversation and we will discuss what are the running threads of the book and what are the conclusions that he has drawn and in which way it has contributed to partition studies. So, you are welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much.
So, you explained the methodology that you adopted, right? From trying to understand the state and then different people and then getting the oral history involved and then adopting the method to cross-check or verify or corroborate the same facts that are being narrated by the different respondents.
That's correct.
So, after this book, if you want to talk about the running threads of the book, so what are those running threads of the book, right from the hypothesis to the conclusions?
I think the running thread of the book is that if Jinnah had not demanded the partition of India, saying that Muslims and Hindus are two separate nations, and in areas where Muslims are in a majority, which is in northwestern and northeastern India, they should be granted separate, independent sovereign states, there would be no partition of Punjab. But it does not follow logically that if India had to be partitioned, so must the Punjab. So what is the reason why in the Punjab people could not agree to keep the whole Punjab united, as was one of the proposals of Malik Sir Khizr Hayat Diwana, to create a third dominion, which would be a united Punjab, there will be a Pakistan and there will be an India. Another, proposal was of the Sikhs that if the Punjab is partitioned on a religious basis, then they will insist that in those areas of Punjab where Hindus and Sikhs were in a majority are not placed in Pakistan. And they proposed even the idea of a separate Sikh state, and if that was not to be granted, then they would like to be placed in India. So now the question is, these positions at the end of the day had to be given some final, judgment, verdict, decision. And that was entirely the prerogative of the British rulers. They decided to overrule the idea of a united Punjab. They did not grant the Sikhs their separate state. They had decided to create an Indian dominion and a Pakistani dominion. So that has been the basis of the partition, and now the reason is why it could not be a peaceful transfer of power. The reason is that no partition of Punjab would have been agreeable to all three communities. They had conflicting interests and claims on the territories. The Hindus and Sikhs claimed Sialkot, Gujranwala, Lahore, Sheikhupura, Lyalpur, now called Faisalabad, and Montgomery, now called Sahiwal, on grounds that although they were not in a majority in these places, nevertheless they paid 75% of the revenue and 80% of the businesses, insurance companies, and productive units, commerce,
And educational institutions.
and educational institutions were all the contribution and ownership of Hindus and Sikhs. Therefore, on such a basis, these should be given to India, because a Sikh state had been overruled by the British. The Muslim League claim was that these were all Muslim majority districts, and therefore they should be given to Pakistan. This also applied to Gurdaspur, where in 1931 the demographic structure was that Hindus and Sikhs were in a majority and Muslims were in a minority. But in the 1941 census, which was disputed by the Sikhs and the Congress party, a slight Muslim majority had been found, 85,000, which is less than 1% of the total population of the district. So now the question
So what was the proportion of Hindu, Muslim and Sikh population in 1931?
In 1931, a slight majority of Hindus and
So
Sikhs.
both time it was a slight majority.
Slight one.
Both time.
Both times. So some people dispute that those who prepared the census reports were doing it in favor of their own communities.
So there was politics involved in it.
So the Sikh and Congress councils who pleaded the case before the Punjab Boundary Commission took the position, but they were told that the census which applied for the final verdict was the 1941 census. You see, in the terms of reference, it was said that contiguous Muslim, non-Muslim parts of Punjab will be separated and given to Pakistan and India. But other factors will also be taken into account. The Muslim League's position was that and other factors apply in very special circumstances, like waterheads. How should they be placed when they were serving a united Punjab? The Sikh and Congress Council argued that when you say and, then it's a continuous sentence. So there is no full stop. And other factors will be taken into account means that not the flat population factor, but all other things included.
So once the partition is decided,
yes,
and it seems almost inevitable that large chunk of population, that is 49+% from Gurdaspur, has to suffer or has to be on the wrong side.
Yes, but nobody knew this. That's the most interesting part about it, because the Radcliffe Award, you see, 4 judges were nominated, 2 by the Muslim League and 2 by the Sikh and Congress parties. And the 4 judges had the right to agree on the demarcation of the border of Punjab. But if they failed, then the right to give the final verdict was called an award, and that only the chairman could do. And an award cannot be questioned. So that was the position. So when these arguments were put before the Punjab Boundary Commission, the 4 judges, instead of agreeing on anything, they sided with the party which had nominated them. So now there was an impasse or deadlock. So it went to the chairman, Cyril Radcliffe. And Radcliffe has been, scandalized for this and that. Actually, what could he do? So he relied on a plan. The breakdown plan was prepared by Lord Wavell on 27th December 1947, saying that if we have to leave India quickly, how do we transfer power? And if the Muslims want a separate state, we should give them. And on the 7th of February 1946, the demarcation plan for Punjab was declared, but both were top secret documents, which Wavell said that instead of waiting for some other way of deciding this, the British government should announce it as an award
Hmm.
so that everybody is clear where is Pakistan, where is India. But it's still not clear why the British government did not pay any heed to his advice. But the documents were top secret. So I think Ratcliffe in the end looked at what Wavell had advised, and Wavell's argument was that 3 tehsils of Gurdaspur must remain in India.
Okay.
Pathankot, Gurdaspur and Batala, because if that district as a whole was given to Pakistan, then Amritsar, which was 53% Hindu Sikh majority, would be surrounded by Pakistan on all sides except the east. And so there will be an Amritsar. Here is Lahore, here is Sheikhupura, Gujranwala, Gujarat, Sialkot, and then Gurdaspur. So Amritsar will become indefensible. Therefore, he proposed that on this northern part of Amritsar, these 3 tehsils should go to India, and the one across the Ravi, these were on the east of Ravi, of Gurdaspur district, Shakargarh should remain in Pakistan.
So it was a strategic decision, not based on population or
no,
something.
it was a defensive, as he was a military general.
So it was a defense.
Yes, he said otherwise Amritsar is always open to an Pakistani attack. All they do is surround Amritsar and attack.
Has this been spelled by Lord Bebel that it will
Wavell
be
is written there.
It's written over there.
The word.
So the logic of
yes.
3 tehsils going to India is written by Bebel.
That's exactly, and it's quoted in my book. And this is from the Transfer of Power, volume number 7, which is only on this period. 6th or 7th volume, I have all the 12 volumes. So these are his words. He says for geographical reasons, but you know, he could not have said for military reasons. But what he means is that these 3 tehsils cover then Amritsar from being attacked by Pakistan from the north and across the Ravi.
So you conclude that there was military tension behind his mind, whereas he was talking about
yes, because in a future war, let's say, India and Pakistan become 2 states with only Amritsar surrounded by Pakistan. So in a war, Amritsar will be taken by Pakistan anytime, and it had to remain in India because it was the holiest city of the Sikhs, and they did have a Hindu Sikh majority of 53%. So this is what he has argued, and that's what Wavell did. You know, for 2 days, for the 15th, 16th of August, Pakistan had a deputy commissioner there and the Pakistani flag flying, Mushtaq Ahmed Cheema. The award was ready on the 13th of August, but Mountbatten had said that it should not be made public until I have presided over the independent celebrations of Pakistan and India on the 14th and 15th. Because as soon as it is announced, there is going to be a great public agitation because nobody knows what belongs to which part. For example, the Hindus and Sikhs tried their very best to claim definitely Lahore, and they believed Lahore will be given to India. Whereas the Muslims were told by the Muslim League that under no circumstance can we give up Amritsar. Pakistan without Amritsar is incomplete. But in the final award, which was made public on the 17th, 16th, the politicians were told that this is the award. 17th, All India Radio announced, and millions of people were on the wrong side. But the Punjab had already fallen victim to communal riots in March 1947, about which we have talked. And by the time it was August, those communal attacks had escalated to a very large extent. The whole of Punjab was now up in flames. So when the power was transferred, the 2 governments which came into power in East Punjab and West Punjab, I have said, have we talked about Hobbes' theory of the state?
Yeah, you talked about in brief, but you can again talk about
So I say, normally a state is one which is ruled by law. and the state is supposed to be neutral to all citizens. That's the whole idea of a state. You have rights and the state must be neutral. But then for 3-4 days, they didn't know where the state was. So that is when I say it was the state of nature. I attacking you, you attacking me. But the state was not there.
And there is no one to mediate.
But on the 17th, 2 states came into being, part of India and Pakistan. They were no longer going back to the civil state. They were now party to what was going on already. So, if 10,000 people had been killed by the time the power was transferred, after the 17th, the number of people killed finally by December 1947 is 8 lakh. So, the number of people killed on both sides, and I say on both sides, the states were now partisan states. They were supporting the party which was the dominant one. All Muslims had to run from East Punjab to make it clean from unwanted minorities. And all Hindus and Sikhs from West Punjab had to be thrown out to make that a Muslim majority province in all senses of the word. And in that process, while 10 million crossed the border, 750 to 800,000, 8 lakh at least were killed in these riots.
When you talk
so what I say now is, the thread is that if you look at the people of Punjab, they were never consulted on this, one. Second, even when on the 3rd of June, the partition plan had been announced, and on 23 June, the Punjab Assembly had voted to partition Punjab. It was not clear where the border will be, and the Muslim League or the other parties did not warn their people that you might have to run. And on the contrary, the Hindus and Sikhs were cocksure that Lahore will remain in India, if not other places. They were even hoping to keep Lyalpur and Montgomery. And Pakistan was convinced that Amritsar they will get, because while Amritsar had a 53% Hindu-Sikh majority, in the city, the Muslims were in a majority. So there was a confusion. What is the real majority and what people believed?
And there were substantial reasons for that kind of confusion.
Yeah, of course. Like in Amritsar, in the central parts and in Sharifpura and all, you could see Muslims all over. Whereas in the villages, they were predominantly Sikh. Okay? And the Hindus were in the cities. So it was, if you just looked at Amritsar, you would believe that we are in a majority. And in Lahore, although the Muslims were 60% and Hindus and Sikhs were 39%, but in the 1941 census, many villages outside Lahore had been added to Lahore district. So previously, the Muslim majority in 31 was a narrow one. Now it had increased. But in the popular imagination, Lahore looked like a Hindu city with a Sikh city, because all businesses, all properties, all upscale, model town, Christian Nagar, these were the successful parts of old Lahore, where it was only Hindus and Sikhs. But the total count of Lahore gave Muslims 60%. So there was also a genuine belief that Lahore is a Hindu-Sikh majority, and the Muslims maybe felt, but the revenue figures and the census figures showed another. And Radcliffe was not concerned about this except what the figures were telling him. So that's the reason why I say in the book that the partition of Punjab ultimately led to so many deaths, because the people who took part in the killing were retired army people, the soldiers of the princely states, especially Patiala and some of these states, the underworld criminals who were mobilized because they are always police scouts and informers. The police was involved on both sides and lower level magistrates. On the other hand, good Hindus and Muslim Sikhs did go out of the way to protect their neighbors, but their efforts were paled to insignificance because the forces who wanted to throw these people out were far greater, better armed, better organized, and they had the political backing of both administrations.
So the title of the book is The Punjab, Bloodied, Partitioned,
and cleansed.
and cleansed. So the third phase is cleansed. So you have defined it through the theory of ethnic cleansing.
That's right. That's right.
So it means the third and the final stage, you claim that it is ethnic cleansing.
Yes, you can call it
So you want to make the land pure?
Yes.
So you want people to run away from
there.
It means that the intent to kill is less, whereas to make the person run away is more.
Yes, it seems so, because of the 6 million, maybe 500,000 were killed and most escaped. And on the other hand, of the 5.5 million which were on our side, anywhere like 300,000 were killed.
Okay.
All others escaped to East Punjab. So the intention was to just make them run if they could. And in doing so, of course, you had to use violence also to make people who were staying on run as well. But the intention from day one was not kill all Muslims of East Punjab, kill all Hindus of West Punjab and Sikhs, but to take their properties, whatever they had, and cleanse them, because the two-nation theory meant that was West Punjab was to be for Muslims and East Punjab for Hindus and Sikhs.
Yeah, that's very well explained.
Yeah.
But just help me understand.
Yeah.
There were different sites of violence.
Yeah.
You attack where people live.
Yeah.
And where they work.
Yeah.
Businesses.
Yeah.
And residential areas.
Right.
Then why do people attack when they are just on the move, when the caravans are going, when the trains are going?
Yeah.
If the intent is just to make them run, how will you explain that violence?
Well, I think initially nobody wanted to run. That's the main thing. So force had to be used to make people run. For example, on the night of 21st, 22 June, the Shahalmi Gate locality of Lahore, which was predominantly Hindu and Sikh, was set on fire when Magistrate Muhammad Ghani Chima approached the local Gunda, Billa Jatt, saying, "Ke Chaudhary, we have to set fire to Shahalmi, otherwise the Hindus and Sikhs are not running away, and we want Lahore for Muslims." So Billa Jatt then gave his son Abdur Rahman, who later on, when I talked to him, his picture is there, his whole confession is in the book, is now known as Haji Abdur Rahman Gill. He has made the whole confession how this conspiracy was made. And on the night at 1 o'clock in the night, when 22nd June becomes 22nd June, they brought what is known as solution. Solution is used for shoemakers, and once you put that glue and fire to it, it's not easy to extinguish that fire.
Okay.
So that is when the Hindus and Sikhs who were resisting going from Lahore then ran, in the thousands. And I've quoted that normally it was 1 rupee or 8 annas for the Tonga to go to Lahore railway station, which is just 2 kilometers away. On that, they were charging 100 rupees as well. Oh. And people were helpless just to make to the railway station. So now,
so that explains.
That explains another reason.
Yeah.
I'm saying the result shows ethnic cleansing. The intention is a combination of killing, looting, and making them run. But if we say what is the result, were all 6 million Muslims killed or half of them killed? No. Were all Hindus and Sikhs on our side killed? No. 300,000 on our side, 500,000 of Muslims in East Punjab. So ultimately, I would conclude both areas, what the result is, no Muslim and Sikh is on our side, and no Muslim is left on the in East Punjab except Malerkotla. And the reasons for that are go back to Guru Gobind Singh.
Yeah, they are entirely different.
That's an entirely small case.
Yeah, small case.
So
Same is the case with Qadian.
I say I don't know the ultimate intention, but it seems that they were quite happy when these people left. If they resisted, because while people are leaving and you give them a free hand, then people who are already full of hatred, these people have killed our people on the other side, they are looking for revenge. So revenge killings took place. But the project from day one was not really to make them stay here and kill them all. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So the last point, and in a brief.
Yeah.
So when you say, give the title Da Punjab, so it is an assumption and it's a popular belief that it is not partition of India, it's partition of Punjab. How do you explain that?
Yeah, because let's say, well, the fact is that there were 400 million people in the whole of India. Of those, the total number of people killed is actually 1 million. Some people count a little, 1.2, one people, they even go to 1.5. But nobody has come up with a credible explanation.
And it's not possible even.
It is impossible also. But 1 million, I think people would agree, is the minimum. But we definitely can argue that from Punjab alone, anywhere between 750 to 800,000 people were killed. So that is 80% of the deaths or fatalities. Of the 12 to 14, 15 million who are counted to have crossed the border, definitely 10 million Punjabis crossed the border, which means 75 to 80% of those who left their homes to save their lives were Punjabis also. So the partition of India is, for all convincing reasons, the partition of Punjab. In Bengal, which was also partitioned, this had happened in Calcutta in 46, Noakhali, and then Mahatma Gandhi and Sohrawardy went around forming peace committees, and the Bengalis had been excluded from the armed forces since 1857. Here, the Punjabis in large numbers were in the British Army, in the police, so all of them knew how to use violence, organize violence, and attack people.
So that's why it is a partition of Punjab more than anything, any other place.
Absolutely.
So, Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed, thank you very much for explaining all the ideas that you have incorporated in your book, and it has really enriched us. Thank you very much.
I'm very grateful you have given me this opportunity to explain to an audience I really love, and that is Punjabis. Sir, you have actually done the greatest service to this book by going to the methodology and the threads in the book. I think this has been one of the interviews which I will always cherish and show to my select audiences, because they can understand how the book has been imagined, envisioned, researched, and what are the conclusions. Thank you so much.
With this, we come to the end of this episode. We will continue with such conversations with eminent scholars in next episodes. Thank you very much for joining us.